can get stale sometimes, and right now a lot of us are Xenos and Chaos players. Chris being Tyranids and Genestealer Cult, and James and I Chaos all the way. There's been a lot of Space Marines, lately. And speaking of which, there's some exciting things to talk about Space Marines due to the FAQ that just drops for Raven Guard Iron Hands.
Yeah, FAQ.
Yeah, there's some pretty exciting stuff. But what we talk about tabletop wargaming in general on the channel, and we talk about what's been going on with Warp Charge Gaming, the crew of us over the past week or so. And just the hobby in general, tournament scene, etc. So lately, what we were talking about just before we jumped on is that we're doing some pretty cool projects right now. Warp Charge is partnering with Battlegrounds on a secondary company or another company called Tabletop Alchemy, and we do 3D printing. We have several printers, and we've taken commission work now for almost a year. We're cruising right along with the process. And we're partnered with Worlds Overrun, a graphic designer that has awesome 3D printing files that you yourself can get a hold of or commission us to print. We're licensed resellers, and etc. Lately, the cool project that we're working on with our buddy Brandon from Battlegrounds is to 3D print an entire Karn design. I don't know if you remember the designer's name or information or anything, but we got the files from him. What who that was from, James?
Yeah, Nico Industries. He has like some of the best files I've ever seen for cosplay type stuff.
Right.
Very cool.
So we got a full-blown like wearable Karn outfit. Like I'm talking like helmet, we got the right pistol, the right axe, like all the details. Yeah, James?
Except for boots and gloves.
Okay.
It does not have boots and gloves. Okay. But everything else, from helmet to backpack to weapons to armor. Shoulder pads.
On like a Thanos Infinity Gauntlet or two, and you're good to go.
Yeah, no, it's very, very large. There was only one file that fits on our CRS-10, which is a pretty large build plate for like most at-home FML printers, and it doesn't fit. I got to chop up these files. That's what I've been like kind of researching, is how to cut these files and peg them myself, so that I can print them, but he gives you everything, and it's pretty wild. It's just, if it was a CS5 where it has 500 millimeters by 500 millimeters, then I could print these pieces. But since I don't have that big of a printer, I have to cut them up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, gotcha. So that's a part of the process, of course, is just to figure out the right way to slice those things so that they print effectively, right?
Print effectively, and then scaling. I mean, you have to obviously scale it to fit so that it can like fit you, instead of it's like being too small or too large, and all the pieces like fitting so that they fit together. It's a lot of math, or just someone that knows the design program really well, which I don't know.
Yeah. This used to be something for those that might be interested. Excuse me if we're not super engaged with comments. I gotta get you guys pulled up here. But we used to talk about this like crazy. If you guys look way back when into the episodes, it's all in one playlist on our channel. We had a Tabletop Alchemy talk show on Mondays. But we found we even got comments like, this is boring. Like, we literally just nerd out on numbers and pulling up software and stuff. But if you're curious about more about 3D printing and things like that, we'd love to hear from you. And speaking of which, this week is the week that we're supposed to make a call out. I thought of this as that if you're a Patreon member, we do have an awesome Patreon system, and we'd love for you to check out the rewards. We give away all of our 3D printing custom designs that we come up with. We got billboards and movement trays and several different pieces that are really cool. But currently, Ryan Hollingsworth, a fantastic human being that's local to the area, he's a top-tier sub, and he's actually getting paid out this month at Battlegrounds. Our top tier gets a $150 payout when your name's selected, as we go through the list of people that joined in. And so we're excited to provide that to him. And next month, Connor's going to be in the pool there.
$100 bracket?
Yep. Connor's gonna pull $100. So we love giving these rewards back. Wow, that printer got really loud, James. Is that what's happening?
What?
The printer got your printer got like super loud. It was like a storm.
I haven't changed anything. I'm just sitting here.
That was weird.
Yeah, I heard it too. Honestly, it sounded like it got angry.
There it goes again.
Oh man, I don't know. Maybe I can change my settings to go back to the microphone.
James is sitting there printing right now, and he's going off the camera mic, little experimentation. But yeah, I think that we're just discussing that we print things and we like to nerd out about these things, and we have a Patreon and we hook people up. Yo, I'm going to show this because it's awkward until I do. Let me show you this thing.
What are we seeing?
I'm trying to show you this sweet picture. I'm going to show a few pictures. All right, scale to fit. Check out this. All right, I showed this in a 40K chat.
Hear me now.
Yeah, you sound good now. I don't know why.
So I got it back to the headset. It should be good now.
Funny enough, it does sound like there's like bath water or something going on somewhere. I have no idea. Somebody's taking a bubble bath, but anyways, this sweet picture that's up. So everybody, like 40K, Infinity, all these games, right? On the 40K thread, we've had like a years running, like 6 years deep. I don't know. We've had an ongoing 40K Facebook group chat. It's like 30 people deep now. And I'm, of course, trying to spread the word and get more people into Infinity. I shared this picture this week, and I said, this is why Infinity is a badass game. Like, I think this picture summarizes for me the feeling I get about
the ninja.
like a ninja standing in a tree, standing over like 3 guys like trying to search around with flashlights. That's a real thing in that game. Like, that's not just like a cool graphic. Like, that actually is gameplay, which I just appreciate so much. Because that ninja there can be in hidden deployment and can be standing literally right next to those guys, and not your models aren't just anybody. You can choose from these specialists. You see the guy with the flashlight in the middle, kind of shining down. The other guys have their guns out, like they're in suppression fire or looking to shoot. While the one in the middle is like the forward observer specialist. Trying to see a mine off in the distance or whatever. Ninja's going to come down and murk them. Technically, they would be inside the zone of control, the area of influence of that ninja, but because he's stealthy, they can't sense him. That would be like a 3-man core team, which is more rules I'm spattering off about what you could tell from this picture. If they were a 4-man team, they would have 6th Sense level 2, and they could detect things like this. Which is pretty sick. So that guy could literally jump down and their models would actually be facing the wrong way, and he could slice them all up, and with his knife it would be stealthy and silent, and they wouldn't turn around or be alerted by killing someone in the back. So an amazing game for that reason. Speaking of stealth, what's coming up, and what these last 2 episodes, I'll show you guys the thumbnail. Put a raw thumbnail up. I was going to get up a shot versus my Tartary. Or TAC, and we're preparing for the Baltimore Brawl that's going on next month. Here's an exciting list. This is another just reason Infinity's amazing. What you're seeing there is 19 cheese tokens, okay? And those tokens are numbered, and I have to. And in Infinity, you give your opponent a courtesy list. And anything that's not public information is not available on that list. Anything that's in camouflage is considered in a hidden deployment, and that means it's not on the list. And this is a list by the guerrilla tactic Tartary that I'm running, and giving the opponent a blank courtesy list. So in 40K, you meet at the table, you each exchange lists, and you talk about it. In this case, you're handing them nothing. You don't have
Cult ambush.
You don't have to tell them anything. It's so much more than that though, because they literally don't even know.
Oh yeah, they literally know what's in your army.
Yeah, they have no idea. And so what's even beyond that is that for every one of those models, there's 10 models there, but there's 19 tokens. And for every model that has 2 in front of it, one of those is a decoy. So there's 6 total decoys, and the ones that have, and then the ones on the bottom there's 3 mines. So there's a rule called mine layer, and they have ambush camo, which gives them a decoy camo token, and mine layer, which lets them place down another token, a mine, in camouflage. And if anybody gets within 8 inches of that mine, it automatically blows up in their face. So when you're putting down, you're just spreading all these tokens out across the board, and they have to spend their turns, the limited orders that they have to activate, to try to discover and wade their way through what this camo is. and you pretty much nullify their actions by constantly confusing them or not being able to have access to because they can't target any of your shit until you're actually discovered out of camo. And you yourself, unless you choose to react to their movements, never come out of that camo. At any moment you see somebody with a camo token, you could choose to like, I'm going to dodge or I'm going to shoot you. But if you just hold still, they have to spend one of their orders at usually bad modifiers to try to discover what that is. And if they waste a bunch of rolls trying and failing and then come to find it's a fucking decoy or a mine, they're super frustrating. So the cheese is very appropriate because it is very frustrating. But with the fact that so many other factions are so technologically superior, there's not much choice but to try to do some shenanigans. Another amazing factor of this is that you're bringing 2 lists to the event. And Infinity is very much, instead of an all-comers concept, it's not really an all-comers type design in list building. It's usually all about the mission. And technically, in like the way that the game's played, you discover the mission, you write the list, and obviously in tournament formats and whatnot, you learn the format of the tournament and you write the list accordingly. And in this case, I'm really having an interesting time exploring that because you get to run 2 lists. And there's so many different ways that you can run 2 lists. The second list could be designed to accomplish a particular mission that your standard list is not so good at, or it could be built to counter a particular enemy that if you go up against, you want to be able to have the tools to deal with. So, wild and crazy, super deep, super fun. Wanted to rant and rave.
I do have a question in regards to decoys with your army.
Yeah.
So do you find, just topically, me trying to assess kind of the tactics of your army?
Yeah.
Would you say in most cases a smart opponent that is trying to discover what your decoy/camo markers are, if you're not reacting when they're trying to figure out, is that pretty much always a decoy or a mine? Question mark?
Oh, no, yeah. You not reacting is basically giving them 0 information.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, in most practical situations, are you choosing not to give them information when it's like, if it's actually a unit that is something that you plan on using tactically, would you elect to dodge in most cases if they were trying to shoot at it or anything like that?
No, so they can't shoot it. So there's several good things here. So whenever someone does an order, they get to make 2 short skills. Short skill 1, move. Short skill 2, discover. Or whatever. They can do 2 things, but they can't shoot anything that they can't see. And by me dodging, it gives them the ability to, like, let's say that they move and then discover, and then I dodge, right? As soon as I dodge, I reveal myself. That's
what I was figuring.
Yeah, so any activity I do reveals myself to them. But if I hold still, because I'm in camo and because of the range, and if I have cover, all these things stack negative modifiers on them, and they're usually at a bad single dice roll trying to accomplish this task of just finding out what I am.
I got you.
And now I can choose to get a free shot against them. Because they could say,
the reaction.
They can say move, discover, and when they choose to discover, I can choose to shoot them.
Yeah, the reaction kind of move.
Right. But bottom line, the best thing that happens, because you're usually, my guys are much more powerful on the active turn, and they're less good, and I don't stand up to the technology of going head to toe with the reactive turn. So I can attempt to get lucky shots, or if I have multiple shots on them and I'm gonna put them in a bad spot, I can make a trade or I can like take a chance. But I'm much better off to just keep making them waste their orders because they have a limited amount of those, and as soon as they run out, it's my turn. So the more that they waste their time trying to figure out what something is, great. And even once they do discover what it is, I reveal it, and then they have to spend another order to then attack it. And then at that point, I just shoot back. And I could just get lucky and take it out. So
that makes sense. I just wasn't sure if, like, on the investment, like, if it was something that you had that was, like, an important player, if it was worth it for your kind of army to, like, choose to dodge if they were trying to discover, or, like, also not being familiar with Infinity. Like, in my head, I was thinking, rather than just discovering something, like, why wouldn't I just shoot at it and try to figure out what it is? with bullets? Question mark.
Well, yeah, you can't shoot till you see it, basically.
I gotcha.
Now,
okay,
now
cool.
what? Now
that clarifies.
Now it does get a little deeper than that because we mentioned you can do 2 short skills. You can do a move then discover. Well, they can do if they don't move at all, they can say I'm gonna discover shoot, and they have to, instead of being like, because typically it's short order response, short order response, and so they would say I move. I wouldn't say I dodge, because if I did, then I don't even know if they're going to shoot at me, and I'm just revealing myself. And the moment I do dodge, then they're allowed to shoot. But if they don't move and they say I discover shoot, then they have to tell me both of the short skills in one go, and then it could be worth to me like they're going to probably discover me. They're close enough that they're on good dice. I should go ahead and dodge now.
Like, that makes sense. I got you.
Or I could say, fuck it, I'm going to shoot them. So it's more about they have to play it well, and how many negative modifiers you can stack against them, and you can do quite a bit. And especially with all the other gross thing about it is that a majority of those camo tokens have what's called forward deployment. So I'm able to deploy like almost like Nurgling. They can go up to 8 inches beyond my deployment zone, which is only a 24-inch half of the board. It's a 48-inch board. So I can get 20 inches into the board with all my deployment, with decoys and with mines and with nasty shotguns and close-up shots. So I basically set all those guys up based on their weaponry into their best range bands to like hold down all these different lanes. And so if they are shooting, I'm usually shooting with like great modifiers.
That's cool.
It's just it's like usually that first line that they're crossing when they cross into my side of the board is all just decoys and mines. So everything that they go up against that looks threatening, and the funnest part about it is playing the psychological game. So you can sit there and stare at your mind. You can be staring at a decoy like you're just like, am I gonna? You just acting like you're thinking really hard if you want to pop out and shoot them, and the whole time it's fake. And then like whenever I can just take all my all those numbered, because on my list, my secret list, it's all numbered, like I know who's who. I can just take all those cheese tokens and just throw them like rain on the table, and then I have what's called a coherency step where I'm able to just start measuring and putting them all into the coherency they're supposed to be in. And during that, you could be measuring all these fake coherencies of thing, acting like things are related when they're not. You can play so many fucking head games with it. So
that's cool.
It's super fun to sit there and like stroke the beard like, go ahead. I'm not gonna do anything. And then when they fucking waste 3 orders trying to figure out what it is, and then it's nothing, it's so satisfying.
I can believe it.
Yeah. So having a great time with these deceptive tactics. But man, I'm starting to get to the point where I'm studying other factions, and it's terrifying. I'm realizing how much
I believe it.
The other shit have. Like, I am so, like, I have to play super sneakily and play it's definitely maybe not the best beginner army. There's definitely more that are, like, more like Death Guard and, just very tanky and straightforward and capable,
Well, and speaking, like, relaying it into, like, kind of, like, more common ground kind of tactics, like, whether it's Magic or Hearthstone or Legions or 40K, like all of your, tech and tricks seem really cool and cutthroat until you start reading about someone else's, and then you're like, oh wow, like that kicks me in the mouth.
Yeah.
Like,
I was affected that way a lot by Age of Sigmar. That's definitely that's one of the reasons I like that game, is because the balancing factor seems to be just make everything ridiculous. I used to think it had a decent balance, but now that I've been through several tournament experiences with Age of Sigmar, there's definitely some very OP shit in there, man. Especially there's this new that's topic worthy. Is there's a new release in Age of Sigmar called the Cities of Sigmar, and it basically all the old armies like Ryan Hollingsworth, the guy that
Empire.
Yeah, there's a bunch of that old school shit that lost their rules or lost any like validity. Have been updated, and you can play in like kind of like legions, all these different cities, and each city has all these rules and combinations of like mercenaries that can work with them. So it's kind of like a Grand Alliance book for all the old school humans.
That's cool.
Yeah, and there's some OP, man. I played against it at this past weekend's Age of Sigmar tournament, and there was this one city that literally it gave +5 to the cast to all wizards within 6. Just like, okay, +5 to cast and deny. They were like crazier than Zinch, dude. I was like, the whole time I was kind of belligerent. I was like, "Where's your Lord of Change at? You piece of shit!" It was nuts.
See, I'm interested to see your exploration of Infinity more for the context of that. I think philosophically, in terms of approaching gaming, I have a little bit of a different mindset in that I think, and this is possibly unpopular opinion here, I think almost every game has the insane level of pushing the boundaries OP. It's just like, how blatantly obvious is it?
Yeah.
Because I feel like regardless of multiple game systems I look at, I see it occur. I think some game systems are just more honest about it, quote unquote.
Well, you know what you make me think of, Chris, is those even just like the iPad games and stuff like that. Like when you say honest, or the question is how much is it like a pay to play? For me, like,
absolutely.
You know, like when you look at those, when you're playing like a fighting game or any sort of just bullshit iPhone game, and it has like the gym system, and you go in, you start playing like the random multiplayer, and you're just getting your ass handed to you by some like ridiculous level dude with all the OP shit, and the only way you can get it is if you buy it with physical monies, then the game starts to lose overall enjoyment for me, you know?
Ooh.
Yeah.
So 2 points. A, you just brought up something that I never really thought about. Why do all these pay-to-play win games use a gem system? I don't know why, but it seems like they all use gems. But secondary, I saw a really interesting post recently in discussing, and this is going back to 40K, the balancing for the new Marines coming out. You know, a lot of people right now are up in arms because they're like, oh, Marines are so good, blah, blah, blah. Iron Hands, which we have big news on that today, obviously.
Right.
Somebody was making the point that they're wondering if the reason New Marines are so good is the price point, because they had done some quote-unquote math that was saying that you average about 75 cents per point in a 2,000-point Marine army, whereas most armies are more expensive, quote-unquote, for like a competitive tournament army.
Okay. That's pretty intriguing.
And
pretty intriguing math there to be thinking about.
I mean, I think their math was horrible, if I'm honest. Like, there was no real like evidence. It seemed like entirely like just kind of like internet shit posting, if I'm honest.
I guess. But do you think you could make that a reasonable math equation? Like, if you took like ITC, the most common list that was taken by like a top player, first, second, third, whatever of each faction, you could start to do it. It's still very it's hard, but
well, and my main reason that I took issue with this post is it becomes really convoluted because it doesn't take into account the economics of conversions.
Yeah,
it doesn't take into account the fact that some people have been in the game for 20 years. You look at armies, like he was using an example that I took a lot of personal offense with, which was with Genestealer Cult, and was like, oh, well, like my friend's playing Genestealer Cult, and like, you know, he says it's so hard for him. It's like, yeah, you're comparing Marines, which have been out for 40 years,
right,
to an army that's had models for 3 years. Like, there's a difference in market saturation. Like, you start talking about real product economics, like, you can't really equate that.
Yeah. No, that's
for every single army.
That's certainly a factor. You're right. I mean, just like how old is the army? Like the brand new models that are coming out for Age of Sigmar that are like the Tomb King replacements. You're not gonna just that's gonna be very expensive comparatively. Like versus what you can find, and mainly in a used market, particularly, which I'm a huge supporter of. Yeah, you know.
Oh no, dude! I mean, it's sad to see the models on the shelf just collecting dust. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's there. You go as far as economics too, as far as you know, the reality of what you can get used. I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about, anyways. But I mean, I honestly have gotten the damn near majority. I mean, definitely majority, but like almost all of it has been used. You know, not Infinity. But that thanks to the relationship that we've worked hard for with Battlegrounds. but and
Battlegrounds.
also a cheaper game to get into though as well. Like I mean, $150, man. You're in Infinity like all the way. You know.
That's awesome.
A full army is
that's very easy to get behind. I mean, even for like people that play 40K, when you're looking at spending, $2,000 for like a playable army,
right?
And then someone tells you, hey, you could play this other game for under 200. It's like maybe I'll play both.
Yeah. Well, that's the nice thing about some of the, I do believe in 40K Warcry or Kill Team Warcry. Those are also great ways to get introduced into the larger scale GW games. That's the only time that like I really kind of like thank you GW, high five to like you being nice to your consumer is when they have their different games cross pollinate into the others. Now they do get a little overzealous with it, where they'll put Kill Team, the newest Kill Team models will be inside of like Blackstone Fortress, and that's the only way you can get it.
So that's actually something I was reading an article about right before we started signing on to the show. There's a lot of models currently that people are still waiting on having individual kits for out of some of these bundle boxes. I mean, the Venom Crawlers for Chaos still don't have their own kit.
Oh, wow.
The Obliterators, I think, still don't have their own kit from Shadow Spear.
Yeah, wow.
The Kellermorph still doesn't have its own kit. The one of the guys from Blackstone Fortress. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that like it has practical like you're looking at Chaos. They got a 2.0 codex. People want to be able to buy Venom Crawler models. People want to be able to buy Obliterators.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know what else is interesting about that, Chris, is that like as far as looking around on the used market, I have to buy in used models often at Battlegrounds, and they buy, sell, and trade used awesomeness. And what's hard is I've had to buy in Obliterators, and those they didn't have a market price, and you have to basically only can go off of eBay's completed listings, and at that point, what is the right price? Like, there's people that sell them for dirt cheap, and there's people that sell them for a lot, because there's like, how much is you can generally break down the individual other components of a box set, but if that box set has like all unique kits, then that gets even harder, And
I mean, we're going to probably see that too with the new Eldar box.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, true.
Jane Czar and Drazar, we don't know if and or when those two redone characters are going to have individual clan packs.
Yeah, I heard rumored months. I actually have that community page pulled up here, just for. Oh yeah, here's the this model. Yeah, I haven't paid attention to who. Like, this looks like a classic Spirit Sphere to me. I don't think that's a new model. But this one for sure. But yeah, like exactly, like out of that box. So what I would suggest, I would think that sometimes you can find opportunities. Because I definitely sell those Obliterators for cheaper. I know the ones we sold in Battlegrounds were highly affordable compared to buying them straight off the shelf, or especially having to buy a full blown block set. So
yeah, I mean, dude, the Kellermorph you still can't buy outside of the Kill Team box. That is completely infuriating.
Yo, you know what's hilarious, speaking of this kind of stuff, is the Iron Hands FAQ, because I'm loving that. I haven't even read this, dude, but your guys' excitement, I'm just hoping that it's everything I hoped for.
Oh man.
So like
it's not everything I hoped for, but I'll be honest, it's like 90% of what I hoped for.
Okay.
So like
it's
good.
It's fantastic. If there was anybody out there that's like chasing, they're like, ooh boy, look at how everyone's scared of this. Everybody's so scared. I'm gonna be the boogeyman, and they go and they buy all the Iron Hands. And then there's like smack! You back to not good. Like, it's almost like vicious. It's because like GW, like are you driving with your eyes closed? It's like they're like wee, and then they're like oh shit, just kidding, and then everybody they ran over with their eyes closed. It's like it didn't happen. And they bought a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I mean, the three big points, and I'm sure James is excited. I think I kind of topically glanced over this, so I imagine James may have a better idea over it than I. I know that people are saying the character Heidi Dreadnought lists are basically dead. Shut up, cat. And he's upset about the Dreadnought list. It happens.
Right.
but there was the relic that used to be reduces damage by 1 to all vehicles within 3 inches. That now only affects a single vehicle you have to nominate per turn. So that's a big change.
Oh yeah.
The invulnerable aura now only affects infantry. So that's a big change.
I'm seeing more expensive command points and once per game. This is great. Just cut.
Yep, they changed a 1 command point stratagem to a 2-point command point stratagem. I think that was the one was that the character dreadnought one? I could be wrong.
Souls of Iron.
Yeah, and the faction's been hit. I mean, they're still really good. I mean, one of the things is their doctrine is still absurdly good. Getting to reroll 1s to hit and move and shoot heavy weapons without any kind of penalty. Both of those things as your doctrine, on top of the fact you get the regular standard doctrine rules.
Right.
Very, very powerful. It's not like this is taking them out of the fight. It's just taking them out of the absurd level of running a semi-truck over like a freaking like toy Hot Wheel car, you know?
Have you seen any? Did this just come out today? Has the internet been like?
Yes.
Oh no, my faction. Are people crying?
I mean, from what people, everyone seems to mostly agree. The people that are going to be whinging and crying the most were the people that were banking on the hideable character dreadnought spam kind of armies for Iron Hands, because they got hit pretty hard. But you're still going to see a lot of really powerful builds out of this army. Like, I still fully expect them to be in the top brackets at this point. I mean, you know, like, all the new Marines are still very powerful. I could be wrong, but I still kind of feel like Iron Hands, even after this FAQ, my knee-jerk reaction is that they are better than White Scars. Raven Guard, I still am of the school that Raven Guard is probably one of the best ones, but it's going to be like Gene Stealer Cult, where only like the top really, really savvy players are going to make them really super work. Whereas I feel like Ultramarines are the more all-around, like still just like they're going to do good no matter what. Iron Hands are kind of in a similar boat. And now we have Salamanders and Fists dropping, and they are vicious. Fists are especially good against Iron Hands. They just happen to be. Yeah. Salamanders are going to be really solid. They have, based off teases and stuff we've seen, like plus range to Flamers, as well as like reroll 1s to wound. No, +1 to wound on Flamers. So like they're going to be nasty. They basically have Vets of the Long War.
I mean, and then what's great too is Psychic Awakening just around the corner that has Connor was on last week talking about the -3 AP Guardians. That'll be, take that, all Marines. Nice 3-up save.
And we've seen some leaks in terms of that. I haven't taken as good of a look at them as I could. I know there's pictures, but there's been a lot more showings of, like through third parties like Reddit and whatnot, and Imager, of more of the kind of make your own craft world rules in terms of also like the witch cults and all whatever they're called for Dark Eldar. There's a lot of them, man. I mean, I just remember seeing the page and being like, wow, there's so many make your own craft world kind of rules. Like,
yeah, it's coming for everybody. Everybody's gonna get that.
Oh yeah, and it's exciting. It's really exciting, honestly. I mean, you're gonna see. Yeah, and you're going to see just so much, like, even if, let's assume that, like, a third of them to a half of them are bad, if every faction gets, like, 5 or 6 of them on top of their current rules, it's still, like, you're going to see, for every faction, 3, maybe 4 new builds pop up, and that is so much interaction for new kinds of meta, I think. Yeah, I don't know.
Great. It's a great move. James, let's bring you into this thought process, man. What do you think about the idea of other factions having to pick your own thing? Do you think that's going to be a common thing we'll experience?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think so. I mean, from a fluff perspective, from a cell models perspective, from like I want my own uniqueness perspective. Yeah, I think it's a home run if they do it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not necessarily going to be the best way, the most competitive way for all factions, but some factions They might have a little niche. And what's nice is those type of things, because it can get so narrowed, can be fixed. And as we saw, GW is not scared to fix things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the idea that we can, that's if you have that many like pick your own combinations, you take all those combos, it gives you a lot of paging through the book again and reinventing your models. And I'm sure that they have several pick and choose. I bet you they have like a a line chart, like a web, where they're like tying in like, okay, they take every unit in the codex and they start to draw lines from each particular pick your own combo and where that's going to make that one be a better unit, for instance. I would hope that they would be that tactical.
I hope that as well. That would be a good way to approach it, I think.
I would imagine that's what it feels like, because it seems very eloquent, and thought out. It's a good move on both financially for them, I think, because and for the health of the game and for the excitement of being able to play it the way you want. And they've been going with that, they've been wanting that kind of freedom a lot. They've definitely promoted like play the model, that all the models are fun and good to use, but that obviously has never been true.
No, you're very right about that.
I sure do wish that I still cry and moan that Forge World needs more love and attention, and I wish it was brought into the grander scope, man. I wish it was so not separated as it is.
A strong agree, man. I mean, I kind of wish that they would just merge the publications at this point. I mean, at least the books. I mean, you could keep Forge World its own thing in terms of manufacturing models, but like, I don't know. It feels like the game suffers from the detachment of the two kind of like the writing styles.
Yeah, I also just thought that, I mean, like, surely I just don't understand it enough about the relationship, because it just seems like if they really brought those models into the GW like control, and I don't know, they just intermixed it all into like one big fucking book or something. I just think that they would sell a lot of it. I don't know what kind of things stopping them from being able to like make a lot of money off of that situation, like, and add those models to be a foundation, a good strong part of the game. I don't know. Maybe it's
it's just kind of tradition.
Yeah, I feel that could be
lag.
Yeah, they're just like, fuck it, like it works.
Well, I mean, because for so long, I mean, like the Trigon, which is now like a standard Tyranid creature. Like when I first started, that was only a Forge World model. Like that was kind of like the fine cast of fine cast, and it was so exclusive. I mean, you really didn't even see hardly any Forge World on the table till like 6th, 7th edition. And I think they're just kind of having like a lag in terms of like integrating it into the full game, because they weren't expecting so many people to hop on the Forge World train as the competitive 40K scene kind of like resuscitated the state of the game.
Yeah. It seems, it just feels like a missed opportunity for them not to dive deeper into that and make it more available to the players. But I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I think they're doing.
So James, do you have any thoughts on the? Oh, go ahead.
What were you saying, James?
I was thinking they're doing good financial moves, man. Like they did their big FAQ after Nova, and people were like, "Oh, Iron Hands got missed. I'm gonna buy a bunch of Iron Hand stuff," and then they sneakily just drop it in there. Like I think that's genius.
Yeah,
just genius. And like they didn't see their stats on like Iron Hands. I mean, 40K Stat Center, got to give them a huge shout out, because they crunch all the numbers, and Iron Hands was doing some ridiculous shit as far as the 2 weeks they were around, and how they were 78% win ratio, like just winning winning every tournament, fucking multiple different list builds, not even just like one list archetype. It's like a whole bunch of different kind. It was just brutal. Almost all Marine players are playing Iron Hands, and then they sneak this in here, and like they still didn't break them. They're still not like awful. They're still super powerful. You're still gonna see people playing them.
Yeah.
Because they had already. There was a meme going around on the Daredeo Forge World Dreadnought that's in the middle of the 3 executioners, still doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like they still have ways to do the unkillable dreadnought, devastating firepower, shooting twice from executioners. They still have a way for planes to go around, not suffer penalties of shooting, and just go around murking people. Like Iron Hands is still in the game. They're not awful. Salamanders, on the other hand, they're going to be broken as all get out. Everything they're showing is making them just seem so broken. Like they get all these bonuses to flamers, and then they can be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna make my flamers always sixes." Like
Yeah.
two CP, and they're all sixes,
Jesus.
all of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, now I got like these flamers that are doing extra damage, extra AP, and I'm getting 6 hits on every single one of them in the unit. Oh, and because I'm salamanders, I'm gonna re-roll one of my wounds.
Yeah.
Like. And then, oh, you know what? I'm gonna make this character not targetable because he's under 8 wounds or under 10 wounds, and I'm gonna sacrifice him to be. You have to shoot him before you shoot any of my infantry in my whole army. And
Oh yeah. I forgot
that's
that
only
they
gonna
have that
cost me 2
strategy.
CP, and because you can't kill him and you have to shoot him before you shoot anyone else, you can't shoot my entire army, and I'm just gonna come forward and flame you. And then when I'm in like flamer charge range, I'm gonna get 3 to 4 attacks apiece, and I'm just gonna smash everything you have.
3d6 charge bloodletters, dude. I'm taking my I'm taking my 3d6 charge.
Bro, you won't be able to even get them into combat because of Overwatches. Because they're gonna have the extra range and the flamers, and it's gonna be like goodbye.
Extra range, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
I will say with the stratagem that you're talking about, where they have to shoot the character under 10 wounds, that still only affects things that have the character in range. So, like, if you have like guns that are, it's still hugely good. Like, no questions of that.
And it's infantry. So like you just have all your infantry. And then what's crazy, it's just your army. It doesn't have to be even salamanders that it blocks. So now you take a detachment of the destroyers from AdMac that are infantry keyword, and now you can't shoot them, and they just can keep shooting you for 3 turns.
Yeah. They're brutal, man.
I'm just saying, salamanders are going to come up, and everyone's going to be like, oh, well, all my black stuff was just how I primed my models, because I really just wanted to paint them green.
I've been getting questions at the shop like, how do I paint my models like in a universal scheme so they can just be whatever I want?
See, and that's actually something I was thinking about in terms of like intent with players. That's something that I think is interesting in terms of Infinity, because I feel like that kind of game, because of the unknown information, it kind of requires a very high degree of integrity. And like, I think for me, as someone who is invested in the fluff, like a lot of my feel bads come from like the meta chasers that like don't care about their army. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I am definitely someone who doesn't care if you're gonna like, oh, I want to play this army instead. I'm gonna start painting my army. Like, this is something I want to do. But like, when you're the kind of person that like, every couple of months, like, oh, my Marines are this faction now, my Marines are this faction now, like it hurts my heart.
Bro.
No pride.
Pro tip for all cheesy Space Marine players that want to switch from Legion to Legion, what you do, paint your whole army black. You paint them black. You can paint them really nice black, but it's just you pick a shoulder pad. That shoulder pad changes color, and it's like what? They're sort of their Legion. They're just the dark, stealthy ones, bro.
Yeah.
Just magnetized shoulder pads.
Like that's all you got to do is just change out a shoulder pad. You can magnetize them. You can just keep putting a layer on top of a layer, so it becomes like the big, thick, fat shoulder pad because it has like 12 layers. Either or, dude, it's a shoulder pad. But just go.
And the best part is that
white,
if you're Death Watch,
gray.
You can actually have multiples.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I'd put the old shoulder pads like down at his feet and just get like a collection.
Yeah,
that'd be cool too.
That's all I'm saying. That's the pro tip. Is shoulder pad it. Black army, neutral color army, shoulder pads change colors.
Word. Or just paint them rainbow, dude. Paint them every color. Right?
Yeah.
Just paint them every color.
I mean, I haven't been. You know what's interesting is I've only gone to one tournament since the Iron Hands have been out. Since it's only been 2 weeks, and I missed the bullet. They did well, but they did not win the tournament. Chaos Knights did. But I'm going to a tournament this weekend. Battle Brothers in Cambridge, Wisconsin. Shout out to the Planet Chaos guys. And I'm so excited because because it's supposed to be a fluff tournament. It's doubles. It's at a bar. It's about having a good time, and it's cash though. So like that's kind of a big deal is when price sports cash,
Right.
not store credit. And it's at a bar. It's typically going to be paying your bar tab. You had to submit your list, and not only did you have to submit your list, any pre-game stuff had to already be on your list and couldn't change from game to game. So that includes psychic powers, that includes warlord traits, that includes stratagems that you were going to spend for relic characters, all of that. Like you already had to add on your list. And then Iron Hands got their Nerf bat today. And there's like 4 or 5 Iron Hands players.
Oh no, and they're locked in?
And they're locked in.
Oh no!
And I'm so excited. so excited. Because they were so ready
savage.
for it. And I'm more ready for it now.
That's great.
Yeah, and then like there's a couple orc players because like we're having orcs for one of our 1,000 points. And they're going like super a bunch of smash guns, and it's like, yes, these are the things we want. Like, oh, I'm so excited for this tournament. Like, I might be able to drink for free. That's how I'm looking at it.
Very cool.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. But shout out to those guys in the Shop Close guys. They will be there. And another thing the Shop's Close guys are doing that I'm thinking about hopping in and starting a new game that even George doesn't play.
Oh, whoa.
What?
Are you ready for this?
Whoa.
Blood Bowl, bro.
Nah.
Oh, dude, Blood Bowl's a good game.
Get in on that, James.
Blood Bowl's a very good game.
It is. I love Blood Bowl.
I mean, they hit me up. They hit me up and they were like, "Hey, what should the Warp Charge Gaming team? Because we're gonna sponsor a team and have it playing in our league." And I was like, "Bro, if you're making a Warp Charge Gaming team, I'm just gonna make the fucking team.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna play."
Yeah.
So I'm thinking Goblin. What do you think?
I've always liked orcs.
That's cool.
Like in that game, I think like orcs.
Dude,
are
I'm thinking goblins and trolls, bro.
Trolls are cool. Yeah, I mean that's cool. You want big guys that
I guess
wreck
you can do
things.
orcs and trolls, right?
Yeah, I think you can.
You can do orcs and trolls. But trolls go with both orcs and goblins.
All I know is that orcs wreck. So, because in that game, like you get to like totally just like murk your opponent. You know what I mean? And so, but certain like you can get like the judge called on you and shit. But I'm pretty sure the orcs will like they just get to like fuck up like uncontrollably without people getting. There is chaos in there too, dude. Like you get like.
No, I saw them. They have some gores and they got some chaos dudes.
Yeah.
But they just look like the human dudes, just with spikes on their armor.
Yeah.
And like
they're fun to play, but orcs are the most brutal.
See, I was just really liking the trolls. Like I was like, how can I play trolls?
Let me look up the models.
You're either playing with the orcs or you're playing with the goblins. And the goblins got like a bunch of little add-on things that no one else has. Like they got
the
like
tricky ones.
Yeah, they got some flamethrower stuff, and it's like, dude, that just seems cool. But I just want big trolls.
All right, I'm checking it out.
I know there's a big minotaur, but like he doesn't got wings. If he had wings, I'd be about it. But I don't know, I'm excited. This is a new game I'm gonna do with the shops closed, guys, and it's gonna be a good time.
Do it. I approve, man. I super approve. That's one of the games that like. I mean, it's literally come multiple times onto like PC. Like you can play it online and stuff like that as well. Like it's been a popular enough game that it has done well over multiple iterations, over multiple gaming systems, and like it hasn't disappeared. And I think that in itself is evidence of it being a great game. You know?
Yeah, I've always.
Dude, I like the idea of like a football game. Like,
Yep.
I just never knew anyone that played it. And what was interesting is when they decided they were going to do this after going to the Michigan GT, they got other people that were like, I got a Blood Bowl team, and I just never played. I don't know how to play. Like, I want to play. So, like, it's a bunch of people that, like, are closet, like, I want to play Blood Bowl people. And Shops Close is organizing it to happen.
I think that's great.
Pulling gamers out of the closet.
Yeah, man, I'm excited.
There's some passionate people, and dude, you would make. I've seen at Nova and stuff some amazing Blood Bowl boards, where like you'll probably remember this, Chris. There's one guy that carried it around in a like he made this like handcrafted like hickory suitcase. Like,
oh yeah, really, that was super cool.
Really beautiful wood that he like all did himself, and when you open it up, it's like literally like a turf field, like on a football field.
Yeah, dude, I've seen things like that, and it's so cool, and that's why I'm all about this. Like, I want to do it, and I want to do it right, and I think it'd be a cool like closet game that you can get people that don't play tabletop games to get into.
Yeah,
it's like a board game.
Blood Bowl's great.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty excited about diving into it.
You need to download it on your... I'm going to send you what the best version of the iPad game is that I found over to you. Because it's
fantasy football, but like it's more fantasy.
It's literally the game. There's one that I played addictively inside the iPad there that I think you basically learn how to play. It's everything about the game. So it's tight because playing it digitally, you're like getting to play a GW tabletop game. And just by yourself, solitaire style,
Yeah, so, no, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it. Well, that's great. That's great. I'm excited to see. I'm really excited what you do hobby wise for all this, man. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I plan on doing something cool, man.
Dude, especially Warp Charge style, like put like this fucking sweet logo on their backs and jerseys and shit. Like,
yeah, that's what I was gonna do.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
And I think I got to do 2 teams because like I'm gonna have to have someone to play like locally. So, like, give them, like, a pickup team. So, I'll figure it out, though. I'm excited.
Sounds great.
That's awesome, man.
Sounds hella great. Well, shit. I think we're getting near the end of this episode. Is there? I know we talked about Iron Hands. There's a new this upcoming White Dwarf. There's some more Kill Team rules coming out for more Space Marine shit. That they wanted some rules for some of these new box set models. It's all about selling Primaris. Right now, I care about Infinity a lot, and we talked about that.
You characterized something at the very beginning of the episode, George, in terms of like the Xeno / like non-Marine players feeling almost kind of like a fatigue. And man, like I was literally just sitting staring at Battlescribe earlier today, like. It's just so hard to care to want to make a list right now.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, dude, my lists are locked. There's no change in my list right now.
Yeah. Yeah. What is exciting is, 2020, we're talking about kicking off another major event with Warp Charge in February. Looks like February 22nd might be a date. Talking to Coastal Wargaming, it looks like they're going to be on board to use their amazing tables again. They have a lot of events coming up. Already between here and there, there's a GT coming up. I know there's the Crozius, or I believe it's called, or something.
Crozius?
Crozius, yes, excuse me, Crozius. The Crozius. That is a common weapon. That's going on by Field of Fire Gaming, guys. So there's a lot of events happening, but February 22nd, looking to do another 64-man major, and it'll be the first one that we'll have locally between here and Adepticon as the season kicks off after LVO, January 25th. So get excited about that. But yeah, lots more to come. You guys tune in for battle reports and things of that nature. We'd love to hear from you. And everybody cool? Ready to say peace?
Only thing I can think of before we head out, I don't know what James has cooking up in terms of hobby stuff. I am actually, I've been on a shopping spree myself, doing some hobby-related stuff. I am finally doing something that I have not done in my years of gaming, and I bought supplies to start completely basing all of my models. I have so many models on just black bases. So, yeah, that's getting done.
Nice.
Chris is excited about that.
That's cool.
Hey, free basing is always a good time, dude.
Yep.
Damn right.
Bath salts, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Right on, James. How about you, man? I'm excited for your tournament as well. I'm glad that you're going against a bunch of try-hard, Iron Hand players, and they're going to get.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I'm doing cool things. We got Magnus almost all done up over here.
Ooh, wow.
He just needs his
Wow,
armor
wow.
on. Got the Demon Prince done. Got Armon done. I'm finishing up the last 6 cultists, and then my Zangors. They're not the tip-top condition, but they fly. Came down to the end, and they'll just do their thing.
Cool.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'll be playing some Thousand Suns. Doing a lot of psychic power things I'm not used to, but it's gonna be cool because Iron Hands got nerfed and people are stuck with their lists.
Yep.
And that's the most appreciable victory, the technical victory.
Yep.
Bro, I'm so excited. Like from the matchups I see on there, I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Like I'll be happy against that list. Like, man, I just gotta hope I don't get too drunk on like just the enjoyment of knowing I should have these in the bag and then getting just so wasted and ruining things.
Right.
But I'll have my lucky shirt on because it's Orktober.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get
October!
Orky style.
I think I'm ready. Nope, I don't have the October thing. God dang it, I failed.
Come on, George.
I thought I was going to be ready to go. Well, there's only one thing to say at this point, and it's keep taking fun seriously, y'all. Because we're going to get the hell out of here, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Another good time. I'm glad everybody had fun. I know I did, and appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll catch you here next time.